Now for business updates across the African continent, Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
How are you doing? I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Arufai. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning to our viewers. Yeah, so, well, I think everyone's heard by now that the High Court in Abuja has barred the Central Bank of Nigeria from extending the Naira swap program. It was brought forward by, I think, 4 parties: National Alliance, National Rescue Movement, and a couple other parties that came forward and filed these suits as plaintiffs, listing the president, the central bank, and I think about 27 commercial banks as defendants. And so that's in place. So much going on. 3 states, Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara, have approached the Supreme Court to go to the opposite direction. Again, that's just an approach. It's no rulings or anything. No case has been heard yet, as far as I know. And so they're taking the CBN to court, saying that the Supreme Court should allow the extension to continue for, I think, at least another year. Then we got in Abuja, the EFCC, apparently, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, arrested a banker over hoarding of the Naira. Apparently about 29 million Naira worth of notes were not uploaded into the ATM of this particular bank. So that banker has been taken away into custody. So yeah, I mean, there's just a whole lot going on. Then also, Godwin Obaseki has lended his voice to the Naira no swap. He backs the CBN, saying that they should be allowed to pursue their cashless policy. And so, I mean, we're getting, again, as your last guest just said, this financial system now is entering the realm of politics, to where everybody is now. You had Peter Obi on the Doctors This Day live show, and all the others. Everybody now lending their voices towards this. So yeah, I mean, but as of now, it's February the 10th. If you haven't swapped your notes in February the 10th, you really need to do so as quickly as possible. We're getting some anecdotal, reports that, I mean, some ATMs are paying, and people are, gradually, but we need to be more, widespread. So I think things are being kicked into gear this week. The Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission is pretty interesting. Ms. Saratu Umar, who's the head of the commission, says that it's got some master plan to where they want to reduce Nigeria's loan appetite by, I mean, their mandate, of course, is to, promote investment and bring it into Nigeria. They want to, because the debt is a problem. If you look at, remember that our debt service to revenue is what, 80%, so as far as them, whatever their master plan is, it just has to involve more FX coming into the country, so that you've got enough of a moat, of a barrier to withstand external shocks wherever they come from. But you've got to sell more stuff. That's just the be-all and end-all of Nigeria's investment issues as far as attracting foreign direct investment into the country. We move to South Africa, and a report from the Statistics South Africa showed that pretty troubling. What you're seeing is construction liquidations. That is, construction companies closing shop, up by 32% in 2022. All other sectors as a whole, we actually saw liquidations go down by about 1%. So they were flat. The construction sector, because of the slowdown in economic slowdown, you've also got, and load shedding continues to come up over and over again. They are being impacted. So that's something that definitely needs to be addressed. I believe we're hearing from President Ramaphosa on the 9th, he's going to have his a couple of days, I think Thursday, State of the Nation address. And then this is another troubling report from the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP. They just put this out, I think it was this morning or yesterday. Journey to Extremism in Africa, the Pathways to Recruitment and Disengagement. Very troubling stuff, but this is something I've been saying for a while. Look, so Sub-Saharan Africa is emerging as the new global epicenter of violent extremist activity, accounting for 48% of all terrorism-related deaths. That's practically almost half. And another thing, the journey to extremism research, again, I should have circled that, underscores the relevance of economic factors as drivers of recruitment. 25% of voluntary recruits cited employment opportunities as their primary reason for joining, particularly among the sample's male respondents. There was another very troubling one where for women that got recruited, say it was their husbands that brought them in. So there's also talked about the family factor and how that is there. But look, I've said it again, poverty is what needs to be addressed. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to see crime, you're going to continue to see violent extremism. And they also talked about the fact that state failure, the UNDP pointed this out, that state failure in providing amenities to citizens is feeding Africa extremism. So with COVID pushing, 7 million people into poverty, inflation pushing another 5 million people into poverty, Nigeria having 132 million people in multidimensional poverty, this is just going to continue to feed it. And politicians that weaponize poverty in order to buy votes, in order to use it to their advantage, they are part of the problem. That's why we're not investing as much as we can in education and so on and so forth. So I hope everybody reads this report. It's out there. Just download it and get into it. It's a big problem.
I mean, Rotus, and that's why it's quite very surprising that when you see state governments that didn't take President Muhammadu Buhari to court over ASU strike,
over rising poverty,
over cost of living, over inflation, over insecurity in their own states,
like Kaduna,
so they are the one taking President Muhammadu Buhari to court now over Naira, because why? People want to buy votes. And I keep asking politicians, what do you want? You have sucked Nigeria dry. What do you want again?
It's just amazing.
All the destruction and the problem with Nigeria today. Look at the UNDP report. It's because of you politicians sucking and killing the states. You have taken everything from it. What did Nigeria even do to you politicians? When are you even going to stop?
It's never enough.
And it's never enough. That's the problem.
These people, they own land overseas. Yes. They own businesses.
They stockpiled everything. Look at it now. And that's what's happening. And that's why this case has become political. I knew it was going to happen. I said it last week. It's going to go to court. People will try all sorts of means. They've tried to induce people to protest and things like that. Now they see that people are already getting money in the ATM card. Things are calming down now. Now they've gone to the courts. Last week they went to see the president. Now this is continuous. I think it's not a case of courts. The CBN has independence. The CBN Act. They let the CBN do their work. Why are they so concerned about this matter?
Because of personal interest.
But it's always because of personal interest. People like me didn't store billions in my house. I don't have billions in my house. It's people that store billions in their house that they know that when they change the money, the thing will affect them. That's the ones that are doing this. But let the truth prevail. And let common sense prevail. That's just what I'm going to ask for. For those that are saying, they want to try to reduce our dependence on loan, it's a good initiative.
Okay, the NIPC.
The NIPC. Okay, because Nigeria is bleeding as we speak, Rotus, because of these same politicians that they steal from the Commonwealth, they capture the state to their own benefit at the expense of weaponizing poverty and bringing people down.
State governments.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just speaking. So at the expense of people and weaponizing this poverty. So that's just the problem. For South Africa and ESCOM and the economy going down, we've said they should liberalize ESCOM. Dr. Sorry.
State governments can go to court.
Okay.
So it's wrong to say that state governments cannot go to court. I mean, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, under Section 230 of the 1999 Constitution, has original jurisdiction over matters of constitutional interpretation arising from a dispute in terms of the interpretation of the Constitution between the federal government and the states, as has been proven in AG Bende versus AG Federation, as has been proven in AG Lagos State versus AG Federation, and that is an AG Ogun State versus AG Federation. And that is why in this particular case, the issue is that the only respondent is AG Federation, the Attorney General of the Federation. So what are the state governments asking for? Kogi, Kaduna, Zamfara. They want the Supreme Court to stop the federal government of Nigeria from pursuing this Naira redesign policy, from insisting on a February 10th, February 17th deadline. Okay, they will need to prove before the Supreme Court what damages their states are suffering as a result of this policy.
Isn't that a waste of resources?
Just wait. They will also need to prove to the Supreme Court how this is a constitutional matter that is requiring interpretation. But it is up to the Supreme Court. We cannot anticipate, what the details will be or what their lawyers will file. But they will have to put concrete case before the Supreme Court. But in constitutional matters, the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. That's number one. Number two is that in this idea or this whole furore over cash redesign policy, we have seen now that nobody in this country has a monopoly of madness. As one set of mad people are starting their own protests, another set of mad people are also coming out and saying we are here. And that is why you can see that 4 political parties, AA, APM, National Rescue Party, and Accord Party also, they've now also gone to the Federal High Court. And Justice Eneche of the Federal High Court has ruled that in this particular matter, the ex parte motion, an interim injunction has been granted until the determination of the substantive suit and the motion of notice on February 14, that the federal government should not change the deadline. Where is the conundrum? President Buhari has said they should give him 7 days to think about the matter. By the time the 7 days will expire, the deadline will have passed. Okay, so the matter is out there in court. So what you see now is Nigeria becoming, as I have argued elsewhere, a Fuji house of commotion.
Honestly.
Over, Naira redesign, cash swap policy, and all of that. But we should appeal to all the gladiators that what should prevail at the end of the day is the interest of the Nigerian people. Not the interest of the state governors going to the court or the political parties going to the court. They're just messing up the politics. Because at the end of the day, even the governors themselves, okay, they've taken their case to the Supreme Court. They will still have to respond to the matter at the High Court, which is another matter. So we have all this confusion, 18 days to a general election. I mean, I don't know. We have a crisis of leadership, truly.
Crisis of everything.
I just want to talk about the UNDP report. I think it's very important, where Africa has been highlighted as a terrorism epicenter. This is a call for beyond violence response to security challenges, a call for a holistic response to it. I'm glad that you've identified poverty, identified unemployment. We have hammered on this a number of times on the show in terms of unemployment figures. We don't even know the figures to begin to understand the problem and begin to respond to the problem appropriately. In the report, you mentioned that, the men polled, a number of them said one of the reasons is because of unemployment.
No
unemployment, no jobs, poverty levels in the country. If we don't provide employment, if we don't educate the people, we can fight and have a violent response, but we won't solve the problem of insecurity as long as there's an incentive for it, as long as you don't deal with the critical issues. And this is what around the world you do in matters of security. You don't just handle it in terms of in terms of extreme attacks. You also handle the root causes, and this is something that even the private sector must look at, because insecurity, as we've talked about, affects the economy in terms of even revenue, in terms of doing business. And so for the good of the nation, we can't only talk about security agencies. We can't only pump money into defense. We must pump money into education. We must pump money into ensuring that Nigerians have a better quality of life. If not, it will continue.
Ayo, if the state governors are taking the federal government to court over insecurity, unemployment, lack of job, I will support them. In fact, I would like to run there with them. If that's what they took the federal government to court over, I will support
those issues are under chapter 2. The argument about whether state policy is justiciable or not is another argument.
I will support them.
Thank you
very much.